Good morning. We are working on our budget, and if you are wondering how you can create a budget for your irregular expenses or unplanned expenses or unexpected expenses for 2020, I can show you how I work on ours, and that's our spreadsheet for 2020. I have one on my website. You can visit the website, sign up, and print it out to use as well. So we have this blank spreadsheet here that we are going to use, and we set our budget, fees, and then we record our expenses throughout the year to see if our budget is too high or too low. So pretty much we don't have emergency fund. We don't save for emergencies, or we don't have like 3 to 6 months of our income saved for emergencies. We just budget. We estimate how much our expenses will be for those things that we don't pay for on a regular basis, and we divide it by 12 to see how much we need to save every month. And as you can see, I work on one of our expenses, which is our regular monthly expenses, and I set the budget already. My husband worked on it on a paper for me, and then I just put it on the spreadsheet. And now I need to see those expenses that we might pay for during the year. Maybe not every month, but it might happen, and start budgeting for it right from the start at the beginning of the year. I will suggest you do the same thing. If you are trying to pay off your debt, you don't have to have 3 to 6 months of your income saved. But think about those expenses that you pay for throughout the year and see how much you need to save every month and put on in your saving account, so that when you have to pay for any of those expenses, you have the money on hand to use. So we have last year that I'm going to use, and I'm going to adjust it. But there is a challenge for me this year. The reason is, and I work on part 1, I'll put the link below next to this video so that you can look at it as well. So in part 1, I noticed that my husband will have $355.77 left out of his income because we live on his income. And by the way, if I have not said it before, but I think I have, try to live on last month's income. Now, try to live not from paycheck to paycheck, but from your last month income, especially if you are paid every 2 weeks. So you might first try to save a little by little until you have 1 month of your income saved, and then, or 1 month of your expenses saved, and then you use that for the following month. And that month, when you get paid, you just put your money in the saving account. And at the end of the month, you estimate how much you think you will need for your expenses and move it back from the saving to the checking and live on that. And when you are getting paid during that month, you put your income earned in the saving account. That's how you live on last month's income. So my husband is paid every 2 weeks. So his income is going to cover all our living expenses without the minimum mortgage, and that total to $1,200 our expenses when we estimate it. And it's going to be a fixed budget, but every month we are going to record our expenses. So our expenses, living expenses, is estimated to be $1,244. That include $250 for the credit card. And without the credit cards, I can put it here, living basic living expenses. That's the sum of all our expenses without the debts. From internet to our allowances. So our basic living expenses is $994.23. The credit card payment minimum is $250, is included in this one. So my husband's income is going to pay that amount. Well, we are going to live on it, and when he pay $250 minimum credit cards, he's going to be left with $355.77. So that amount we are going to put it toward extra credit card payments, which I have here. But in the past, we save for our irregular expenses within my husband's income as well. And we estimated last year to be $350. And that used to come out of his income. But now that he has credit card debts that we are trying to pay off, we don't want to use his income to save for irregular expenses. The extra, we just want to apply toward his credit card. Another option would be to save some of my income that we apply toward the mortgage, to save some of it to pay for the irregular expenses, or to save for the irregular expenses. But I don't want to do that either. I prefer to apply toward the mortgage, and in a month, if we have an irregular expense to pay for, it could come out of the amount that will go toward the mortgage extra or the additional principal. But let's see if we can budget something for our irregular expenses. And one way, if you track your irregular expenses, one way you can set the budget every month is, one, if you like the budget you set last year, you might use it again. But if you wanted to adjust it, you can look at what you spent throughout the year, last year or this year, 2019. You can look at the expenses, and that's what we have. I have here our year-to-date cost is this section right here. So let's take a look at it one by one. The first one is kids education. Last year I budgeted $161.50 for their school registration fee, but we end up paying $178. And I don't know why we pay $8 in June. I won't take that into consideration. Probably something related to school activities, and I just put it there. And I think that's something that I like to pay from food if possible, so I'm not going to include it. But this $170 is the school registration, so that's what I'm going to use for this year. So for our budget, kids education is going to be $170. And we will go back for the next one is home maintenance. We budget $1,000 a year. If you have a house, I would suggest you use 1% of the value of the house, or 1% of the value of the house at the time of purchase. So I use $1,000, which is close to 1% of the value of the house when we purchased it. Now it went up. The value of the house went up, but I just use that $1,000. And one way I can track here is we pay $626 throughout the year. So I think that $1,000 is a good one to work with, because we have the garage that we are going to fix, and I believe we pay something, but we still have more to pay. So I think $1,000 is a good number to work with, so I'm going to stick with that $1,000. So it's going to be $1,000. And I include property tax, but is more the excess that the bank will ask us to pay. So probably this number is going to go up once we pay off. I think I might have another session for property tax, because once we pay off our house, we will be paying the property tax ourselves. So I'll have another session for that. Home car insurance $600 a year, and our expenses in that category, as you can see here, year to date is 510.58. So I'm going to use 510.58 for my new budget. 510.58. That's how you will adjust your irregular expenses. You need to know how much you pay for those things in the past and use it as a budget to start. Car taro repair. My husband spent 416.08 on his car, including the taro and repair and all that, oil change and all that. So 300 is a little bit low. So we are going to change it to 416.08. Entertainment, I'm going to keep it at 0. Tax return fee. Let's see, did I have something there last year? We spent 88.88. That's an interesting number. And I believe this year I'm going to put $100. The reason is one of my business file our tax this year, and I believe we pay $100. So I'm going to put $100 there. Kids, clothing, shoes, activities, and catechism. I'm trying now, I challenge myself to include kids, clothing, shoes, and activities in my groceries. So the catechism can stay here, and I believe the catechism was $90. So originally I budget $300. That I'm going to change it to $90. Birthdays. And I have last year, I have my husband's, he liked to give a gift to one of his cousins, so $20 is going to go there for him. And I can just put a note here so that I know which one it is. And then I have, so it's going to be $20. That's how we budget. You need to budget for those things so that you don't have to use your credit card to pay for those gifts when you decided to spend on that. And you can even see that he spent $24.60 because he bought some gift for I think a baby shower or something like that. And we have $238 here. I believe I budget $30 for gifts as well for two of my nephews, 15, but I end up spending $238, and I think it's because I had to make a specific type of gifts that is now related to this row. So I'm going to keep my 15 as well, and it's going to be 30. And birthday for the kids. The kids, we budget $20. I don't buy gifts for my kids. I just like to give them money and teach them to invest it. So there are 3, so it's going to be 40 times 3 is going to be 120 for that row. So for our medical expenses, that's an important category as well. It's good to budget for that. and I have $1,400 budget here, but I think I'm going to adjust it. So glasses, my husband used lens, and he used both actually, and I use glasses. So I think $500 a year. We have not spent anything in that category yet, but I think he might need some lenses. So I don't know how much it's going to cost, but I'm going to budget $500 for that. So it's going to be $500. And dental, we have dental coverage through my employer, but here's the things. I applied for the basic, and I don't recall how much the basic cost me a month, but they have the comprehensive one as well, and the comprehensive one include some other type of procedures that the basic does not cover. So, but with my calculation, I noticed that if I apply for the comprehensive one, I will be paying a total of $612 a year, in addition to what I'm paying for the basic. So I chose the basic plan, and I budget $612 within my irregular expenses so that I can save. So I know that probably 2 years ago, I have paid something out of my pocket for my kids to pay some dental coverage, but it didn't cost me $600. And as you can see this year, nothing even hit that category. So check your employer benefit. If they have dental, they have basic, they have comprehensive. Just don't choose something because you want everything to be covered for you. If you can go with the basic, so that you budget yourself for the excess that will come out of your income. If you have excess, you can invest it. Once you reach that threshold in your saving account, you can start investing your money. That's how you can save, by reviewing some of your benefit and see what you really need and what is just not necessary. So for this dental $612, especially when we are trying to pay off our debt, I'm not going to include it in our budget. I might just include, in fact, I'm not even going to include anything there, but I will include something in the copay. So copay is $100 that we budget, and we spend $70 this year. So I'm going to increase my copay. The dental is going to be $0, but my copay, I might just put $100 there. Contact solution. My husband used a specific type of contact solution for his eye. He's been using it for years, for more than 10 years. I'll put the link below in the description in case you are trying to look for one. I think one has he's sensitive to one type, and he tried this one and that helped, and he's been using it for years. So I'll put in the description, but we like to budget for it. It costs $16.96 a box, and we estimate 10 in the past, but this year we purchased 5, I believe, for CC3, CC4. So I'm going to budget probably for 6. So CC96 is going to be 16.96 times 6. Why not? So 101.76. Medication for the year. I'm not going to put anything here. So as you can see, last year I budget $1,472.96 for medical coverage, and this year I think my total here, and I will just put it here. So yeah, it total everything for me, but I like to, my medical coverage here is $701.76. So pretty much double. I cut it by 2. So as you can see, my total here is $3,158.42, and last year I budget $4,100, and the monthly was $341.67. So let's see what this year or the new coming year is going to be. Now when I say last year, I'm talking about 2019. So my total irregular expenses is estimated to be $3,158.42. Let's see how much we spent last year. And as you can see here, as of year to date, expenses for irregular expenses is $2,360.10. And as you can see, my budget, 3,000 something that I budget for next year, 2020, is a little bit higher than my actual expenses for 2019. So it's good to have a budget that is a little bit higher than what your actuals might be, especially when you are trying to save for those expenses. So divided by 12 gave me $263.20 that I need to save every month to be sure that if there is an expense in a month, I will be able to take that amount out of the saving to pay for it. So how can we come up with $263 when we want my husband to pay $355 left out of his income toward his credit card? One way I can do that would be to decrease my food budget. I thought about it a few months ago to see if I can spend $250 in groceries, and it has worked. And as you can see here, I'm going to add that as well to this new spreadsheet, but I have not done it. But that's my food that I track here. I have a fixed budget, $375, that I take out every month, and I like to use cash for my food, but I like to track my expenses. And as I track it, you can see that for year-to-date cost, my total cost is $3,714.20. So if we divide that amount by 12, or if we calculate the average, that is $309.52. $309. So we can just say $300 is what we spent in average in groceries for our household of 6, 3 adults, 3 kids, or our family of 5. So if I want to trim it, instead of $375, I can set my new challenge this year to be $300. So that saved me $75 right there. And that 75, I can just put it here for now. So I found $75. I still have some ways to go. Another things I can trim is electricity and gas. We like to budget 1cc. But if we go back and check our monthly budget, we can see how much we spent in average in electricity and gas. And that's our two. Let me just highlight it here so that it's easy to locate. They are easy to locate. So that's what we spent total year to date in gas, $946, and electricity and water, $2,041.77. I budget both, but I know that we don't spend 1cc in average in gas, but electricity we spend a little bit higher than 1cc in summertime. So I just know that both combined, we have enough budget for them, and I think it's just 1 month out of the year that we go a little bit over 320 in both. So I can see if I can trim something out of there. So if I take This total here, that's 1,493. Let's calculate the average. The average for gas is $78.94. And I can just put it here. So 78.94, and electricity is 170.15. So the total is 248.98. So 250 pretty much is what we need for electricity and gas in average, instead of 320. So if I use 320 minus 250, it gave me $70 saving right there. So if we go back to my budget here, I can put 79, and here for electricity and water I can put 179. Let's go back and check how much that one, the electricity was 170.15. So 170, and that's 249. So this, let's make the gas 80. So that's 250 right there, and we'll have a saving can put here saving for irregular expenses. So we have $75 there, and we found another $70. So that's 145. And I have a formula below here how much my husband can put toward his credit card. And as you can see, when I decrease those expenses, you can see that our living expense, basic living expense, that include just our income, our internet, all the way to our internet, all the way to our allowances without the debt, is 849.23 here. And when we include the debt, minimum credit card, that's $1,099, and we pay for it with one income. And the mortgage, we pay the minimum mortgage, we pay that through another income, and we use the remaining of that income to pay to our additional principal. So the income that we use to live on, we have excess here because I decreased the food budget, the groceries and electricity and gas. We have more here, and this formula is what I wanted to change. And that is pretty much taking the income, the first income, minus our living expenses, including the minimum credit cards. But then I'm going to include what we save from our groceries and electricity bill. To have that 355. So that's what it's going to be. The amount that I budget, 375 for groceries and 160 for utilities, I'm just going to assume that it stay like that by putting the saving out of those three categories here and take it out of the income. So I'm not able to come up with 263 for sure to save toward irregular expenses, but I'm able to find $145 out of our regular expenses that we can apply. We can put every month in our saving account. For irregular expenses. That's how you work on your budget to see how you can cut down on some expenses to come up with extra to pay toward your debt or to put in your saving account for those unplanned expenses. Thank you for watching. If you like this spreadsheet, let me know, and I believe I have it on my website, and you can visit my website. I'll put the link in the description so that you can download it and start budgeting for 2020. Thank you for watching. I'm Nina Liberman from Nina's Soap.